So we're here today with the Messed Up Church, and Stephen Kozar did a great job of analyzing some statements made by Todd White and really putting it to the test to see if there's truth behind this. And I'm pretty sure that if this doesn't prove that Todd White is a liar and has been lying all along, then I don't know what will. Otherwise, this is going to prove that there really is a big work of God going on. But you know what? There's still the lies that cannot be discarded because they are outright lies, and you're going to see the facts right in this. And there is going to be a link I'll include at the end of this that you can read this whole thing, but I'm not going to read it all today. There's also the video that he has quoted in this, and I've watched that. It's 12 minutes, but I'm going to show you just a couple of minutes of what Todd White was actually saying these things so you can see for yourself by some chance if this gets taken down. But you can see here, we're looking for a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania pastor born with polio that Todd White supposedly healed. So right from the top here, we've got Todd White has recently appeared in a video where he tells this story about how he healed a pastor in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, of a leg that was 3.5 inches too short. Now, that's pretty substantial, and he's going to make a lot of good points, Stephen Kozar, that is, in this, that I think you should consider as well. First of all, let's take a look at this video, and then we'll go through analyzing it.
I ran over to a car. There was a pastor. He was from a denomination that didn't believe in healing. He actually preached against it his whole life. I was actually delivering ice. I ran over, and I put ice in his car to help him. And he was like, "Thank you very much." And I shared my testimony with him because he told me he was a pastor. And I was like, man, I said, well, let me share what Jesus did for me. And I shared it with him. And he's kind of looking me up and looking me down. And I could tell that there's maybe a little bit of my dreads aren't very comfortable for him. Just to start with. And that's okay. And I said to him, I said, man, I noticed you limping when you came to your car. Now, when I told my testimony, he was really happy, but when I started to share about the miraculous, he was like, okay, we're pretty much done. I said, well, wait a second. I said, you have a leg that's short, obviously. He said, I was born with polio. I'm like, no way. So he's a head pastor of a church in Harrisburg. And I said to him, I said, man, I would love to pray for you. He goes, man, I'm really good. I'm born this way. Look, God doesn't do that anymore. I said, well, if he doesn't do it, then let me pray for you, because nothing will happen. And he's like, well, I don't care if you pray for me. So I said, all right. I said, well, I need to see your feet. So he had a 3.5 inch short leg because polio made it really small, and he's hobbling. I said to him, man, I said, well, look, here's the deal. And I have his feet in my hands. And I said, if Jesus doesn't heal, then your leg's not going to grow. But if it grows, you got to change everything. He looked at me, he goes, I ain't changing nothing. I go, okay, Jesus, I thank you for this leg growing out right now. And the muscles filled out in his leg, and his leg grew out 3.5 inches.
Wow.
So I was like, what are you going to do with that? Because he didn't believe. He was an unbelieving believer. He believed enough to get to heaven, but not enough for heaven to get into him. So I said to him, I said, what are you going to do about that? And he looked at me, and he goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I said, well, could you get up and give me a hug? We start there. So he stood up, and he said,
start with a hug.
I don't know. I said, can you walk? And he walked, and he goes, oh my God. I said, that's right. He's our God. He's Jehovah Rapha. Look what he just did for you. And he looked at me and he goes, this doesn't happen. I said, well, walk again and just tell me it doesn't happen again. And he walked and he goes, oh my God. Oh my God. I said, what are you going to tell your church, man? He goes, oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Really? So we hugged. I told him how much I loved him. He goes, man, do you have a business card? Do you have a card? I'm like, I'm the Iceman.
Okay, so we're back. Now, this man was the head pastor of a church in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, that taught against healing until Todd proved him wrong. Now, Todd says that this man's leg grew out immediately, and the pastor was forced to denounce his former disbelief in healing. Well, as they say here, we want to meet this man and hear this amazing story directly from him, because if that is the case, then Todd's got all sorts of credibility. But if not, then Todd is once again just a big fat liar. So this man must have been changed forever by this miraculous healing, and we're pretty sure that he would want to tell the whole world about what the Lord had done for him. So they want to see here the before and after photos. Of course, they want to see the real medical reports that actually confirm this as well. So the big things here is we want to see the parts of the story that are substantial. So number one, this man told Todd White that he was born with polio, but according to medical facts, you cannot be born with polio, and there's more information on this right there. So as they said there, this should be a pretty easy guy to find. Number two, polio is spread through feces, so a mother cannot pass it down to her infant through conception, yet this pastor is probably listed as some bizarre anomaly by polio experts in the medical field, so he's probably going to be pretty easy to find in a database for polio research. Number three, his leg was very specifically 3.5 inches too long. So Todd White, I guess, had a measuring device with him, a ruler. He had some crazy short leg documentation device that, once again, should make this guy really easy to find. Now, we can also see here that the effects from polio don't always include having one leg too short, although deformities do have with that. But it is funny that a lot of Todd's miracles do have to do with a shortening or a short leg that grows out. So that seems to be a common factor here. This guy was the head pastor of a church in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, so that's pretty specific, who taught that God never heals anyone, and he was part of a denomination that didn't believe in healing, and he preached against it his whole life. So that right there is very suspicious, because I don't know any church that is a truly born-again believing church preaching that God doesn't heal at all in this day and age. Maybe they are cessationists and don't believe in the gifts, but I don't know anybody that says that God doesn't heal at all. Now, you see this right here, point there, the miraculous 3.5-inch leg had to have taken place between 2004, when Todd says he was radically saved, and about 2007 to 2010, because this is before he went into the full-time ministry with Dan Molnar, which seems to be around 2007 or a little later. So Todd, and I remember listening to these interviews from Todd when he was giving these same testimonies. He said he was working with a job delivering ice when he met this guy, and he so that puts it in a time frame exactly when this happened. So that 3.5-inch leg miracle was somewhere between 2004 and 2010. Now that's just a 6-year window, making it pretty easy to nail down the specifics. Todd says in the story that the pastor saw Todd's dreadlock hairstyle and seemed to dislike it. Now, that seems very strange, because if we look at pictures of Todd 2007, 2008 in Dan Molnar's old website and other photos you're going to see on this site, which I'll include the link to, you're going to see that Todd does not have dreadlocks at all at this time. We can see right here that is not true. So that was, I think, an addition in this later on part of his story with this video you just saw, because in the original testimony that I saw of this story long ago, he never mentioned the dreadlock. So once again, I think we've got all the proof here. Go to the website, check it out yourself, and make a decision. Is Todd lying, or are we going to find this pastor and he's going to stand up and say, yes, this is what happened? And if so, that would give a lot of credibility to Todd, the NAR movement, Bethel Church, and all that stuff. But I don't think we're going to find that. But I think this is a great article and great proof and great logic to show that this guy is lying. What do you think?